Hey, Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on too. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Kevin Miller. I'm the co-founder and CEO of GR0.com. We're a full-service performance marketing agency founded in 2020. And so we've got about 9 to 10 active channels that we work on for our direct-to-consumer e-commerce businesses. A few of those are Meta ads, Google ads. We have a creative studio. We do Amazon and retail media and things like connected TV. And so we've had a lot of success doing that for the past 5.5 years. We have over 200 clients, and we're just continuing to try to grow.
200 clients.
200
That is
clients.
a lot of clients.
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh. How many account managers you guys got?
At least 30.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, maybe 40, depending on how you define it. But the total staff is about 80 full-time, along with like 50 different contractors that help in different areas.
Very cool. What got you into the agency business? What's that story?
Well, I actually worked at Google as my second job out of college, which was very fortunate. First job, I was at a startup that got acqui-hired within the first 9 months of me being there, which was a company called Message Me that was very similar to WhatsApp. And then I went to Google and I became a Google Ads account manager. And that was a fantastic experience for me. I was there for 2 years. Google taught me everything I know about digital marketing in terms of being very, very good at Google Ads and helping businesses grow using Google Ads.
I would hope so.
And yeah. And this was before Facebook. Facebook's ad platform was just starting at this point. So still, at that point in 2013, 2014, most of ad spend was still on Google alone. The shift to Facebook had not happened yet. And so worked with a lot of brands there and had a great experience. Always wanted to work in different tech startups. Left Google. I was the director of growth at OpenDoor, which is a publicly traded real estate platform. And then a good friend of mine named Steve Weiss, who's an advisor to my company today, he founded a company called Mute 6. And they were basically a clone of Grow. And they were Santa Monica based. They were the first agency that became well known for running Facebook ads for brands, direct to consumer e-commerce brands specifically. And he sold his company for, upwards of a couple $100 million. And it was bootstrapped. And so at that point, it really opened my eyes to the differences in working for a venture-backed business or working for a bootstrap business. And I didn't really know that you could build a business that big in the agency space. Yeah. And that they were cash flow positive. And so that gave me the inspiration and the sort of know-how. They're like, hey, maybe I can do this too. And my niche was search engine optimization, which was differentiated than any other, agency that was out there at the time. And my business partner was also an SEO expert. So we started with just that. And that's what got me into the agency space was being what I think is one of the best in the world practitioners at SEO. And that's what, made me think, okay, this is a good career path. I think I could be a CEO. I like working with and training and leading people. And so that's how it kind of came about.
Very cool. So I want to ask you, before we get into the agency, I want to ask you about Google. So one of my favorite movies is The Internship.
Fantastic movie.
Was it like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, very, very similar to that. Yeah. Yeah. I loved that movie. It came out right around the time I was there. So it was incredibly popular.
So you could take as many bananas for free?
As many bananas for free. I would bring duffel bags and bring home all the, all the best drinks, beverages. They had Hint water, which was fantastic. I couldn't afford that personally at the time. So I would take a, bag home and unlimited food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner paid for, transportation. It was the benefits could not get better, including 100% 401k match. So I have some friends that have been there for a decade now. And, the IRS allows you to contribute $22,500. They will contribute another $22,500, while most other companies do a 3% match, if that. Yeah. And so in terms of wealth creation, you can kind of just do it based off of just that. It's one of the benefits of working
That's
there.
Crazy. Yeah, that was funny. One of my favorite parts is when they're like, Vince Vaughn raises like the yes, like I could take food home. Oh, taking pizza home is frowned upon.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a great movie, but I think an accurate representation of really what it was like, especially the team building activities and things like that. We did the same types of things.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. You haven't been doing the agency that long, 5 years. You've grown to, over 8 figures, 70 people. What do you contribute to the fast growth? Because there's a lot of people that have been in the agency space that want to grow faster, but they've been hitting a plateau for a while. So what allowed you guys to get there?
Well, first, I'll start off by saying that's why I respect you so much and wanted to be on this podcast, because of your agency experience. The truth is, most people can't handle it for even the length of time I've done it. I always say, like, you've got to be kind of crazy to want to do this job, because it is a game of whack-a-mole in terms of managing the company. There's always people problems. Our product is people. So you got to really over-index on culture and make sure that you've got a safe, motivating, spirited environment where people want to stay. Because the worst experience for a client is if their main point of contact, who's been running their strategy, leaves, and they've got to start over. So we attribute a lot of our growth to consistency of personnel. I think that's very important. And I try to create an environment where people think of working here as being on a sports team, like a high-powered, NBA franchise like the Lakers. We support people and give them all the tools that they need to operate at a high level, but we demand a high level of production. If you can't cut it, you can't work here. Yeah. And you also have to come from the right attitude and ethos about how you approach life. I don't care how talented you are, you can't be a jerk. You can't be rude to clients, can't be rude to other employees, But in addition to that, when you talk about fast growth, I think there's 2 things that really matter. One is response time. I'm a big believer in response time in terms of overall business success. How quickly do you respond to a text message, an email, a Slack, a WhatsApp, etc.? I think that's a great indicator of what kind of client work you'll do, is if you're really on it, So I think that's super important. And then caring a lot about the work product, making sure that you're delivering for the client no matter what. If you can deliver for the client, then they'll stay with you. And if they stay with you, they'll probably refer you to another friend of theirs that also owns a business. And that really tends to snowball. So, what kills agencies is churn. And so, I was pretty shocked in the early 2 years of running this company that, just how much it does compound if you add new business and you don't lose existing business. You can really grow.
Yeah, if you get 4 new clients in a month and lose 4, you're just breaking even.
Yeah. So I think that's the kind of the secret, and the way that you grow so fast in the agency space is by over-indexing on your quality, making sure that you're giving customers what they paid for and more. And if you do that, they'll stay. Do
you guys have long contracts? Is it month to month? There's always people have their feelings of like, what's the right to do? What do you guys do?
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in 6-month contracts that then renew into another 6-month term. I don't think you can do great work on a month-to-month basis. And you've got to really have I like to have the other person that we're partnering with, the brand, bought in to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And mentally, at least here for 6 months, saying, hey, we agreed upon this 6-month roadmap. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to be successful. And I think it's a better experience all around.
Break down, obviously not names, but break down kind of the hierarchy. Like, how many levels within the agency? Obviously, you have a leadership team. And then do you have director or vice presidents, directors? Like, how does it break down?
Yeah, I'd say there's probably about 4 to 5 different levels right now that we have. We have a formal level system that accounts for up to 7 levels. Okay. But right now we've got your executive team at the top, and then we have a group of vice presidents, and then we've got a group of associate, AVPs, directors, and we have 1 director for every service line. So 9 different people that run, email marketing, connected TV, out of home, Meta, Google. And then we have campaign managers underneath them.
Okay. And that's kind of how we had it. We had practice directors for each of the major components, right? And they acted as kind of the mini CEOs for that division.
Yes, they own the P&L. Yep.
Exactly. Okay, cool. And so what is your day-to-day, or like what do you think if you had 3 to 5 roles or maybe less, what are your roles being the CEO of this agency?
I think one of the primary roles is being the coach and the judge of the top team, and always making sure that we have the best players in and people are operating at a high level. And what goes along with that is recruiting 10X employees. I think that's incredibly important. So I'd say that's like a primary function of what I do. And I also take a lot of pride in doing sales. I get introduced to a lot of people. We have a lot of warm referrals, and I try to be that front-facing person that brings people in the door and lets them know what they can expect, and expectations set properly from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, I would say I focus a lot on where are we going? So, what type of innovative things can we do next? So I spend a lot of time right now getting our team to use ChatGPT and other, LLMs so that we can be more efficient, and focus on what new services we'll launch. We're looking very closely at launching radio for the first time, which is a bit, of a contrarian view in our performance space, but I believe in it. And we're exploring other, last year we bought an Amazon agency, and did an acquisition of that. And so those are the types of things that I try to spend time on in terms of how are we going to get to the next step.
Yeah. I always tell everybody there's the key roles are coaching and mentoring your leadership team, being the face of the organization and setting the vision and communicating it to the team. There's a couple other little roles like knowing the KPIs and assisting sales and that kind of stuff. But how long did it take you to kind of fall into that role?
As a fundamentally sound CEO, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of time. I think I learned a lot through osmosis from prior CEOs that I worked for. That helped shape how I communicate with my team and how I lead in terms of being present and being approachable. But I have a CEO coach that I've worked very closely with that helped teach me where I should be spending my time and teach me how to conduct myself and how to cast my vision, because it doesn't always come naturally. I think I was a very strong individual contributor from a marketing perspective, which set me up to be a good CEO of a company like this, because when I'm selling or when I'm dealing with an employee, there's nothing that someone could tell me about digital marketing that I don't know. I think that's an important prerequisite.
Yeah.
In order to be an effective leader, you just have to be a subject matter expert. So I think that bodes well. But there's a lot of growth still that I need to do, and a lot of mentoring that I need to do to become a better, CEO and someone who people want to follow.
When you kind of transition from owner to CEO, did you get depressed at all when you would jump into a meeting and they say, "I don't need you"? Did that happen to you?
It doesn't happen as much as I would like. And not to sound like, I've got a ton of hubris or cockiness, but when it does happen, I'm relieved, because that means that, I've put together a team that is better than me at doing a certain function. So I try to have that happen more often than not now. And I've got a really capable team that does that. And so, no, I'm not offended. I'm relieved.
Yeah. I remember when I went through it, because every job I ever held was maybe for 2-3 months, and then I would get fired.
Okay.
So and when I started the agency, I was like 22. So I didn't know, like, I think working for some really good CEOs and seeing what they're doing, that's a huge advantage. Because I remember I'd come in and they'd be like, "No, I'm good in the creative meeting. No, I'm good in the sales meeting." And for like a month or two, I was depressed. I was like, "I don't even need to be here." And then I realized I realized the true roles that I needed to fall that we kind of discovered. And I tell all of our mastermind members the same thing. I say, "Look, when you hit this, you can be depressed. I'm just warning you." And they're all like, "Yeah, I'd be loving it." I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. Cause you lose you feel there's a certain sense of pride and importance that you feel when people need you.
Exactly.
And, I know that a lot of people go through this when they sell their company on a much deeper level, which I have not done yet. But you kind of lose your identity. I'm certain that a lot of my identity is wrapped up in this and being the CEO of GR0. And so I try to be cognizant of that and find, but when I come into work every day, I just want to be effective with my time and just go where the company needs me. Like, I actually believe that I work for everybody else at GR0, not the other way around.
Yep.
I exist just to be helpful to other people and keep the train moving. And that's just how I like that mentality. I don't know why. It's just something I believe in.
Well, that's what leaders actually do. It's the dictators that are the ones that I've probably worked with in the past that are just like, you do it this way. Why? Because I told you.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, well.
Today's workforce doesn't respond to that. I don't think today's
workforce hardly does anything.
Yeah. I mean, like when my mom and dad were working, you did what your boss said no matter what, and you didn't even question it. Now it's not that way. It's actually become very tricky to lead a team of this size. And I can only imagine what it's like at 500 or 1,000 people or 10,000 people. But keeping people happy over the long term, you've got to have a really strong workforce in a lot of different senses. Great training, great culture. It's not easy.
Well, I think too, the bigger you get, the easier it gets for you.
Yeah.
Because you're delegating, right? Like we just described kind of what a role of a CEO is of an agency. So, you're not having to worry about the process for project management. Your leadership team or the people under them are worrying about that. Your whole goal is like, am I steering the ship in the right direction? And do I have the right people in the right seat on my leadership team? I don't care about underneath. That's their problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
It's funny you say that because not many people know that. I've only learned that by being in this seat. The bigger we get, the less I actually have to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And the other thing, I don't know if you've gone through this too, is the less we have to do. Like, I realize that I don't have to be the first one in the office and the last one out. And I used to think I had to. Like, I had to outwork everyone.
Yep.
But if I don't have to be there and I can work smart and be efficient and take the company where it's at, if I can do it in 20 hours, perfect. And that's what I tell the team too. I'm like, hey, if you can do it 20, 30 hours, fantastic. But if we have a deadline or something, I expect the deadline to be hit. And people can kind of make that decision. But I struggled with that because I came from the old school mentality like my dad, first one in for last one out.
Yeah, and I think I'm still pretty much in that mode. I try to be in here early, but it's also as the company's gotten bigger, I'm still trying to prove my worth to everybody else as well. So it might be a little bit of an insecurity. I like people to see that I'm here and that I'm working, so no one can question how hard I'm working, so that when I demand that they work hard, they can't say, well, you're on vacation, So I tend to still just like pride myself on putting in those long hours, but I get your viewpoint.
You know what the secret that I discovered is? And it's all just about being accessible.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the office all the time. But if your team needs you, you just say, hey, pick up the phone, text me. If I'm on the golf course or flying or climb a mountain, if I get service, I'll pick up or I'll call you right then. Like, I'm always accessible.
Yep.
And also too, whenever I go out of town, the business runs better.
Well, that means that you have a good business. That's
exactly.
That's not always the case. And we struggle with that quite a bit. If I'm out of town or my co-founder's out of town, sometimes, sales will be slower or, a ball will drop on a client servicing issue. And, that's when you get a reality check that like, hey, maybe I didn't put the right systems in place and I need to do a little bit more work here.
I don't think it's the systems, honestly, if I'm being honest. A lot of times I think it's more like when I look back at the times when I would go out of town and then I'd come back and it was to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Right. When I look back at it, I hired the people that were more task oriented and I had to manage them. And I am the worst manager in the world. I always say that on the show. I don't want to manage anybody. I need to hire people that can manage
That
themselves.
can manage, yeah. I think I'm very similar to that.
Right? Like, I just want to be like, because if I'm going to manage someone, I'm going to expect them to do things how I do it and as fast as I do it with the same commitment. And that's not fair, right? Because they may not own as much as I do or be invested as much as I do, right? So it's not fair for me to put that on them. But if I give them a general direction of where we're going, and then I hire the right people that can manage it themselves, right? Like, I don't have to worry about the how.
Yeah.
When I worry about the how, or when I start thinking about how do we do this, I'm like, I'm in the weeds. I just need to be like, who needs to do it? And then be like, this is the direction. And then a lot of times too, like when my team would come to me, it took a couple of years, but I would train them on it. I do like this 1-3-1 method that we've always done for years and years. I'd be like, what's the problem? What are the 3 things you're thinking about doing? And what do you recommend? And I did that enough that they stopped bothering me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart. I think one of the hardest things for me to get a grasp on was delegation.
Oh, yes.
I was a perfectionist, and it could only be done by me. And if I wanted it done right, I had to do it. That was a mentality that I had to grow out of, because it just, A, it wasn't true. That was just me thinking that in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And B, company could never grow if I was going to behave like that. So that was a big area of improvement. Just back to your previous question around what makes a good CEO, is like effective delegation and believing in your team and passing the ball to them, knowing that they're going to show up.
Yeah. And they'll mess up just like we do. I mess up every day. Like there's something I do every day that's stupid. And my team will call me. But that's part of our values. And that's how I've hired the team. That's how I make sure that, we bring in the right members to the mastermind in the community. Is like, you're going to make mistakes, but let's celebrate them.
Yeah.
So we don't do them again, and let's share them. So we know,
so you can learn from them.
How did it happen? Right. We learn at it's a better view at the very top, but it's less risky to make the mistakes at the bottom.
Yes. No kidding.
So even though I like to build the plane kind of while it's going down the runway.
Yeah. That's always the most exciting part, and stressful.
That's right. Be like, all right, you didn't put the right wing on yet. Put it on. Like, all right.
But that's how it is in agencies. There's no other way to do it. I've never seen it done any other way. It's the only, and obviously pretty much every other business as well. But
yeah, because if you're not building the plane while you're flying it, you'll never get off the ground.
Never get off the ground. Exactly. Yeah.
And you may crash, and then you just rebuild another plane. That's all. So, well, this has been fun, Kevin. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the other agencies listening in?
It's a good question. I think one of the things we didn't talk about is like client acquisition.
Yeah.
And I think when most agency owners listen to something like this, they hear what I'm saying about speed and doing good work, and they're like, yeah, no shit. That's obvious. So I think what I probably would want to spend a minute talking about is how really did we get those clients, and what did we do for that? And so our big secret has been that we created a referral network of people that send us deals, and we pay them for those deals. So I would come to someone like you and I would say, hey, how much is your mortgage every month? You'll tell me it's $8,000. I'll say, okay, great. Well,
I don't live in California.
Yeah. And I'll say, okay, great. I'm going to pay you 10% of the revenue that for every single deal that you refer to us. Every dollar we receive as a result of someone you sent to us, I'm going to pay you 10% on a monthly basis. And then I'm effectively buying your network. And, I need to deliver for you, because money is only one consideration. Your reputation is another. And I've got to give you that guarantee that I'm going to do my best work and give you my best team. But we were able to assemble a group of 20 to 25 people that are influential, like you, that have businesses that have been around the block, that know people and know business owners, and basically win them over and get them to, when someone brings up, do you have an SEO agency? They're saying, yeah, actually I do. You need to meet Kevin at GR0. And we've built a good engine around that. And that has been how we've gotten new deals, because cold acquisition really doesn't work very well in our space. It's too saturated. It's too competitive. And so warm referrals is the only way to grow, in my experience.
We just interviewed one of my clients for many years, Chris. I think the episode, we're recording this after, so Chris should come out. We'll link up for rankings. And he used to joke with me because I would always go to him, and I'll explain this in a second. I'd always say referrals aren't scalable, right? You only work so long. Now, hear me out, because the way you do it and the way Chris does it is different.
Yeah.
So how you're doing, like how most people do it is referrals. They just wait for people to refer them.
Yeah.
And like their clients. And so what happens is you keep getting, that same type of business, but a little bit lower, right? Because they're right. But like what Chris, taught me over the years, and how your model works is it was kind of the one to many, right? You find the right people, like you spend the time prospecting those right referrals. So let me ask you this, because I get hit up all day long. Hey, Jason, you have a huge network of agency owners. I want to send you, 10%. I literally laugh at them. I go, I really don't give a shit about it. Like, I'm not for sale like that.
Right.
Right. So how do you approach someone like an influential business owner in order to kind of build that relationship?
Yeah, great question. So I don't approach people cold and say like, hey, Jason, I want to buy your network, because that's too inauthentic. Yep. I just meant, when I said that, I meant that's effectively what we're doing, but in a much more kosher and like polite way. It's people that I've worked with in the past. So for example, like my old coworker at a company in San Francisco is now the VP of marketing at AvantStay, which is a big travel company. And so I've already built years of relationships with him. He's a client of Grow. And then I'll say, hey, I can make you extra money. I know a lot of people look at you in the space and they want referrals. Like I can be that person that you can feel comfortable is going to do great work, because, those referrals, those inquiries are coming in for these people. And I'm just trying to be that resource. So I don't make it really salesy like that. I just try to say like, hey, like, you're already being asked this. I'm going to be the resource you can rely on.
Perfect. I like that. Yeah, no, I like that approach so much. That's why I kind of wanted you to explain it.
Yeah.
So then people
are
just not
different than I'm glad you asked me to explain it, because I don't reach out on LinkedIn to someone and say, hey, I want to make you a referral partner. That just doesn't work.
No.
It just doesn't work. So I try to find people that they don't even have to work in digital marketing. They could own a gym down the street in Venice, California, and like they might know other gym owners. And so, I just try to create a network of people like that are influential, that have started businesses, sold businesses, because people are always coming to them for advice.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. No, it's you got to build the network over the years, and nothing's as fast as you think it is, right? No. So you've been building this network for many years before the agency.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the things that made us successful was, truly like 10 years of work at different companies. I became well networked, so that when I did start the business, I was able to make my first 5 calls to business owners and say, hey, I want to do SEO for your brand.
Yeah.
And, I'll give you the best price possible. They're cheap. Let's get started. And because they know me, they just took a leap of faith saying, hey, this, I know he's smart. I know he works hard. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Curious. You've been doing it for 5 years. How often do you raise your prices?
Very rarely. It should be more often. We didn't raise it at all with the tariffs because our clients were already getting hit pretty hard. We thought that would be distasteful. But just to give you an example, I mean, when we first started, my first client was $3,000 a month. And for that same type of package today, we charge about $8,000 to $10,000. So over that 5-year period, it's slowly crept up. And I think our work quality has gotten better. But we try to keep costs. Our position in the market is we're expensive, but fair. We're not overpriced and we're not your low budget. We're kind of like right in that sweet spot.
Okay. Very cool. Awesome. Well, Kevin, thanks so much for coming on the show. And
thank you, Jason. This was great.
Yeah. And everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, and if you want to be around other cool agency owners where they're sharing their strategies and being able to, just connect with other people, because I know doing this agency shit is so lonely. I'd love for you guys to check out our mastermind. Go to agencymastery.io, and until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.